I own and manage my own rental properties, and I'm standing in one of my rentals today, one of my open vacant apartments that I am turning over and putting in some work. And it got me thinking, I do not think that everybody who wants to invest their money in a different source should even look to real estate or rental or property ownership. I think most people would be much happier if they put their money in an index fund or mutual fund, like Dave Ramsey always says, stock market, and just let it grow. I am not saying real estate and rental property ownership and being a landlord is a bad investment at all. In fact, for me, it's been phenomenal. However, it's been tough. It's grueling sometimes. And what I'd like to do, I've thought about these 5 questions that I think you should ask yourself before you take that leap into real estate investing and property ownership and managing rental properties. So let's dive in. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, do you want to run a business? This is something that I didn't even realize, but you're really not just buying an investment, right? There is an asset. The piece of property is an asset. I don't want to deny that, but you are actually really, when you buy your first rental property, you're starting a business. Just like any other business, you have your customers, right? Your tenants. You need to collect rent. You need to pay bills, do accounting work. You need to fix things. Or you can hire those things out. You can hire contractors and property management companies, but you still own that outcome, right? If the property management company messes up or they make mistakes, or you need to find a new one, or they send you reports that you need to review, even approval processes where they say, hey, there's a large purchase, you are still actively involved. When's the last time you had a 10 p.m. call about a stock or an ETF that you've invested in, right? That doesn't happen. That's what an investment is. Real estate ownership and being a landlord, you are operating in a business. I have a totally different video kind of explaining this in detail, but at the end of the day, purchasing the property is only the beginning. It's the next 20 to 30 years that determine whether that was a good choice and you ran a successful business, which then turns into a successful investment. So the next question you have to ask yourself before getting into being a landlord and running a real estate business is, are you okay with paying for and solving problems you didn't cause? And I'm not talking about some of the obvious ones, right? Roof leak or water heater fails or boiler or furnace needs repair. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about are issues that tenants cause, right? If a tenant, let's just say a good tenant, this just happened to me. I had a tenant who left their sink on, right? And the drain was a little clogged. It probably had some hair in it or something like that. They left it on overnight and it overflowed and it caused damage to the apartment downstairs. Overall, very good tenant. This was an accident, but now I have thousands of dollars in repairs that I have to fix. In some situations, could a tenant pay for it? Sure, but in most situations, the landlord, you're the one fronting that bill. And it sucks, right? I now have to pay for a problem that I didn't cause. And sometimes it's incredibly frustrating. Just like this scenario right here. You left your sink on. I mean, we might be saying that's kind of common sense, turn your sink off. But again, this is another one of those questions. Can you handle those kind of situations well? They happen very frequently. That's the second question you need to ask yourself. The third question you need to answer before you get into real estate, determine if that's the right step for you, is, can you handle, or are you okay with very delayed rewards and delayed gratification? And I know that probably seems like common sense because that's what investing is, right? You put your money in the 401k, the stocks, ETFs, whatever, and it takes a long time. You get that conceptually. I think that what's really hard about real estate is because, you have the asset side and that happens, that grows, it appreciates. We get that. But the business side is also that way. And I think that makes it really hard. If you start a different business, I think that there's more feedback. There's more instant feedback, right? You start a cleaning business or something, you knock on a door, you clean, you trade your labor and you get paid right away. There's instant feedback. When it comes to real estate, like I'm here right now fixing an apartment. With how my finances are and how many crazy things have happened over this past couple months, I need to do the work myself and I'm not going to really pay myself for it. And that is just a reality of a lot of people like me who are small-time landlords. I don't own hundreds of apartments. I do own a larger portfolio, but there's a lot of times when you have to do the work yourself and there's no real feedback. I am putting in work now so that, after these are all paid off, that I'll get that reward. So that's another question you really need to ask yourself is, are you okay with very delayed gratification and putting in the sweat equity now? The fourth question you need to answer before you become a landlord is, can you handle uncertainty? I think that this one can't be overstated enough. Can you handle things or changes that are unexpected, right? Can you handle things that you don't know the outcome for? Give you an example. When I signed one of my mortgages, and I have this full breakdown in a different video, but one of my big pieces of uncertainty that's happening this month is one of my commercial loans has expired, right? It's a 20-year amortization, but there's a 5-year fixed period. And when I signed it, it was 3.89%, and now it's going to go up to whatever prime rates are plus margin. So it could be 7.5%. It's going to be hundreds of dollars more per month. Didn't know that 5 years ago when I signed that. There's other things too. When's the next time a roof is going to leak? Sometimes those happen, 3 roof leaks at a big storm. I just had one of my roofs blow off, which sounds crazy, but it does happen. It was about 10 or so shingles that just blew completely off because the gutter actually fell down. It got overloaded. The gutter fell down, ripped part of the roof off. Again, how do you respond to that? Can you respond to that positively so you can turn it, spin it? Do you have the savings ready to put toward a project like that? Being a landlord is you're constantly being faced with uncertainty. Markets change, conditions change, tenants change all the time, and you need to be able to handle those kind of things. So the last question you have to ask yourself, and yes, I had to change. My microphone died yesterday, and I had to finish the things I actually went for, which, believe it or not, was not recording this video. I had to finish some of the maintenance things I had to do. But anyway, the last question you need to ask yourself is, do you like solving problems? I know that seems incredibly obvious. When you own a business, you're solving problems. But I still need to say it because there are problems every day. There are decisions you need to make every day. And it is a constant problem-solving exercise. And if you're someone who likes solving problems and like challenges, this might be a good fit for you. If you've heard other people say, oh, if you own real estate or you're a landlord, it's full of headaches, those are the people who likely may not fall into the problem-solving camp or they enjoy that. So anyway, that's the last one. How do we close this up? I want to make sure this wasn't a negative video. Real estate has phenomenal upsides. It's truly a wealth accelerator, right? I think the statistic is some 60% of millionaires have started or come from some kind of real estate background. And there's a reason for that. It's because you have 2 simultaneous wealth accelerators happening at the same time. Oops. So you have 2 simultaneous wealth accelerators happening at the same time. You have the asset side of things, which is kind of your investment. It's an asset that appreciates, grows over time, and someone else is paying your expenses. Someone else is paying your mortgage. So from the start, you owe $100,000, and at the end of it, you now own an asset that's worth $100,000. So it is growing as an asset and an investment. The other side of it is the business side of things. Right? If you're able to control costs, you're able to put in your own value and work, you can get to a point where the business is paying you. So not only is the asset growing, but the business side of it, you're getting paid from the revenue and the value you've added and the rents you've increased. You're getting paid for that on a monthly basis as well. Again, you got to be wise with your funds and stuff like that. These are just from my experience. I've been doing this for over 10 years now, and I've made many mistakes. I've had ups and downs, and I kind of want to just prep people before they get into this, what to expect, what to ask yourself. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Really appreciate you watching this. My goal is to peel back the curtains on real estate, try to get the behind the scenes so you understand what you are actually getting into, not kind of what the gurus tell you about getting rich and finding amazing deals. Thank you. Have a good one.